In this episode, I'm joined by Heidi Lowthorp and Niki Wilde Broadhead, and they are part of the Transform Your Business Dream Team. And together, we help heart-centered horse professionals. Now, they're going to be telling stories of their own transformations, what was difficult, and how they overcame it. So here we go, episode 184, Real Life Transformation Professionals. Hi, I'm Karen Rohlf, and welcome to Horse Training in Harmony. This podcast is about you making progress with your horse in a way that you both can love. It's about learning how to move and be in harmony. Because yes, you really can develop a horse to be both athletic and happy. When we show up as our best selves for our horses will show up for us. So let's get started. All right, so on today's episode, we are going to be sharing stories of hope for professionals. And in doing that, we're going to be talking about something called the Transform Your Business Action and Support Group. And you can find out all the information about it at dressagenaturally.net/TYB. But in a nutshell, it's a program designed to help heart-centered horse professionals create fulfilling, sustainable, and profitable lives they can love in the horse business. And it's a combination of training on key topics, live open Q&A calls, live training calls, community and masterminding opportunities. And I've been running Transform Your Business programs since 2017. And this action support group is the most accessible, inexpensive yet effective format it's ever been offered in. So it's designed to pay for itself. So we're going to be talking to Heidi and Niki today, and I met them both through teaching Dressage Naturally clinics, and they always stood out to me as really wonderful horsewomen and teachers and humans. And I got a chance to work with both of them in some of my early Transform Your Business programs. And at that point, they were each at kind of a challenging point, maybe a low point. And I think there were times when each of them even doubted whether they could maybe stay in the horse business. So sometimes that word transformation is thrown around a lot, but these two amazing women really did turn things around and really did make big transformations in their life and their horse business. And that's why now they are a part of the Transform Your Business Dream Team. And they are, have raised their hands to help others in this business make the same kind of changes. So I'm proud to have them on my team. And I'm really happy to have them here on this podcast. I really appreciate them sharing their stories because I think it's so important to hear real life examples of what's possible. This sort of stuff we're going to talk about is not typically shared openly among horse professionals. And it's so valuable to realize what can change and where to find help. So they've been sitting here patiently listening to me yammer on about all of that. So I think let's let them introduce themselves, and maybe Heidi and Niki, you could each start with just introducing yourself and sharing what it is that you do right now, and then we'll get into the story. So in no particular order, Heidi, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. But yes, my name is Heidi Lowthorp. I run Lowthorp Equine Consulting outside of Houston, Texas. And I have been one of your riding students for, I'm not going to say how many years, many, many, many years. And I have been in the Transform Your Business group since 2017, since you started it. And it has truly helped every aspect of my life, not just my business.
Awesome. Yay. Thank you for being here. And Niki.
I'm Niki Wilde Broadhead, and I too have ridden with Karen for half my life now, amazingly enough.
10 years, huh? Just 10 years? Sorry.
But I started out with going to your clinics, your first clinic, I believe I was at, and I learned so many things from not only you in the horse world, but then when you came along, when you had said that you were going to start to transform your business, it couldn't have been at a better time in my life. And because of the integrity that you show in all of your clinics, then I knew that that was something that I needed to do, just because of the example that you have been teaching, and in every other way.
Awesome. So share a little bit about what you do now. What sort of what's your business look like? I mean, just the nutshell.
I train future trainers. I want to help people and kids, especially, learn how to train their own horses and ride at whatever level they feel comfortable. And I love to meet them where they're at and help them problem solve and get unstuck. And so that they can just go anywhere and do anything. Because I remember starting out, I didn't get a horse till I was an adult, and how scary that was. Not only, when you're a mom, and then, all of your frightened pieces are there because you are not a child anymore. You're not on your parents' insurance, for one. And that is what I do, is I just try to help people and horses who are stuck so that they can enjoy their future horses and train whatever horses they come up with next.
That's awesome. Yeah. And Niki's got her own, home facility, and it's a busy, bustling facility. So, yeah, it's really fun to see what you've done from that angle. So, all right. So let's go back in time. And I'd love for each of you to share paint a little picture of what life was like right before we started working together in the Transform Your Business stuff. So just, if maybe you've blocked that part out, I don't know. But yeah, Heidi, maybe you can share what was going on right before you started making some changes.
From the outside, my business looked very successful. But I was so burned out that you actually caught me just as I was putting in my application at Starbucks. We always talk about that story. It's like I was so done. I was so done that I just wanted to walk away completely. But managing a large show facility, I was building a 600-acre equine community. I was still running at least 30 to 50 lessons a week. I had an 80 horse trimming business. I had my hands in so many things, and working 7 days a week, 12 to 14 hour days, not able to take any time off. It was exhausting and not sustainable. And the most bizarre thing about all that is you're so busy just making a living that you don't know where the money goes. So while it seemed like a lot of money was coming in, I have no idea where it went. So at that point too, you're like, I can't spend any more money to try to fix my business. I can't hire anybody. I can't work any harder on my business because I just can't. I don't have the time or the resources. And so, at that point, the only thing that you think that you can do is just quit completely. Like, I had no way to get out gracefully until you came along.
Yeah, I remember that so well, because I used to go down to Heidi's area to do clinics, and Heidi used to come, and she'd take lessons in the clinic, and she'd bring a whole bunch of students, and they'd take lessons. And it was just it was this wonderful, wonderful thing. I really enjoyed it. And then there was one clinic where oh, Heidi can come, but only for one day. And then, and I look over, and then she's doing all the trailer loading for people. And then I see her, and she's running, and she's, and I was like, oh, I miss Heidi, what's going on with Heidi? And then there were ones where you didn't show up at all. And I was like, so that was kind of the background. And so I knew who you were as a horseman just from working with you and working with your students and seeing what an amazing teacher you are and how giving you are. So I knew all of that about you. So when this transform your business stuff came along, and literally Heidi's like, you won't I think I don't know if I called you or you called me, as like, you won't believe where I am. And so I'm seeing Heidi, knowing who she is, thinking she's gonna get out of the horse business. Oh no, no, no. Like we need a million Heidis in the horse business. So that it really cemented in my mind like how important this stuff is, because like of all the kinds of people, the ones who give and care and are compassionate and are working for the horse, like those are the ones that tend to burn out because we give and give and give and give and give. So yeah, I love I'm sorry you had to live that, but I love the story because it was like, yes, this is important and this is why we need. And I know it was a big stretch for you, Heidi, because you're like, I can't, like you said, like, I don't have the money. I don't have the money. I was like, we're going to make this work. And I promise it will pay for itself. And there was a leap of faith there. So we did it.
We did it. Absolutely
We
did
did
it.
it.
You held my hand through that, and so did the group. So it was amazing.
Yeah. And I know that can be really scary. So I'm sure she's looking at like my program, looking at the Starbucks application, looking at, yeah, it's hard. Oh, all right. So Niki, oh, another person that I'd known for so long. And then, yeah, maybe paint a little picture of the first time you showed up you came to the TYB event.
I did. I came to TYB. So, like I had said, every single thing that you had done with me and my horse had proven your integrity, your trustworthiness. And so you had come and visited at a time when my business, like Heidi said, was at an all-time high. It was amazing. There was lots going on. We had just built a new facility. It was successful, so successful that, I was hiring people right and left just to try to get things done. And then, sorry, I'm going to get emotional.
We got you. It's hard. Yeah, because, like you said, I had gone out and visited. She had this facility, you had partners. It was like everything was growing. And then next thing I know, I see you and some things have changed.
The business partnership had fallen apart. And it was no fault of my own, which made that even kind of worse because there was nothing I could do to stop it or fix it or do anything about it. And so it was like somebody had given me my dream and then affirmed that it would work and then took it all away. And that winter, I had no idea how I was going to pay my bills. I had no idea what I was going to do because all of my business was wrapped up in the facility, and I could start all over traveling to people's houses and doing lessons that way. And I got an email for TYB in my inbox, and I looked at my bank account and I literally had like $6 or something more than what it cost. And because of my previous history with you, I thought, I don't have anything to lose. I don't even have a business anymore. And I loved it. And so if nothing else, I will go spend a couple of days in Florida with Karen. And then I'll come back and try to figure out what I'm going to do. Boy, did I not know how that was going to work. It was one of the lowest times of my life. Besides the business falling apart, because the business fell apart, my marriage was falling apart. And I couldn't do anything about that either. And so it was the absolute rock bottom when I got your email.
Yeah, I can remember, Nikki. Thank you, Nikki. I know that's hard. I know that's probably, for both of you, like, do we really have to think about that part anymore? And I remember, so I used to do a Transform Your Business event, and people had to like travel and get on an airplane and come to Florida. And I remember seeing Nikki sitting in the front row and like, she looks so sad. Like, Nikki. And that's when I, kind of found out what was going on. And again, like knowing what kind of horse person Nikki was, it was so impactful for me because I'm like, no, wait, these are the people who we need more of. Like this, it just, again, the importance when you see, like you had an idea and then you put faces to it, real life faces. And yeah, because this is like real life stuff, right? So brave people here. Really brave people. Oh, all right. We're gonna shift out of that memory. And we're gonna fast forward to today. And I'd love to hear like how are things different? And you can be, generally, how are things different? And then specifically, how are things different? Because I think that's where it's so helpful for people because it's like, I was here and now I'm here. Ta-da! But we know it doesn't happen like a magic wand. It takes work. And what I'm fascinated about with things like this, whenever I hear transformation, I'm like, no, but really, how did you do it? No, but really, okay, it's Thursday night and you're feeling like this and you got lessons tomorrow. What did you do? Like, so I love to kind of like paint a picture of how things are different. You've worked hard for this success. Go ahead and brag a little bit. And then we'll start to get into some nitty-gritty details because I think that's what's really helpful. And what I think so many people who are experiencing what you guys already experienced, it can feel like I have no idea even where to start. Like I don't like, and that's how I get when I'm like that. I'm like, I don't, just give me one thing, one thing to try. And I think you guys implemented lots of things. So yeah, so Heidi, maybe, yeah, how did you get that job at Starbucks? How did that go?
No. So we started with the meetings. I think it was like the very next week, and I thought, okay, I have nothing to lose, and I think sometimes that's the best incentive is when you feel like you're at rock bottom. Like, okay, I just have to try this one last stitch effort, and I just started implementing like the step-by-step things. And we had this support group to help like cheerlead you on and to bounce ideas back and forth on. And I did have that one thing and next thing and next thing. But now, I mean, I work 3 days a week, maybe 4 sometimes if I want to. I meet all of my bills. I have no overhead in my business. So everything that I make is profit. I can make more money if I want to. I have time for volunteer work. I have time for my family. I have time for vacations. Like there's so much that is different now than I had ever even imagined that I could have done. Like I couldn't have imagined it to be this good. I couldn't have dreamed it this way. But you gave us the skill sets of how to do business, which all of us knew how to do horses. We were very good at doing horses, but we didn't know how to do business. And it's totally different. There's a lot of similarities, but I just didn't pay attention to the things that I needed to do. And now I can be better at the horses because I have more time, I have more energy, I have more resources. Huge differences.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I think what's important for people to know, because like when I hear the word business, like I would never like, I don't like business. Like I still don't like business, but like, what do we mean by business? Sometimes people think, well, I've got to make a 5-year plan and I've got to do, spreadsheets and accounting. And there's a piece of that for sure. But there's so many things that we can change that's really about what do we want? What's our dream? What's our unique genius? Like, who do we help the best? How do we be our best selves? And how do we have conversations? How do we put up boundaries? So a lot of the stuff about business is about turning those kind of dials, right, Heidi? So it's Heidi is one of these people who had like a lot of business. Like, you had a lot to work with, but sometimes that's hard because, like, well, if I stop, I'm disappointing everybody or somebody. So how did you manage to go from running around, no time, 80 trimming? How did you get that down to 3 days a week?
Yes.
Like, what? Give us some dials to turn.
It took some steps. So the first thing was awareness of where my time was going and where the things were. And I think one of the very first light bulb moments was part of your program is, we have access to Dr. Sarah. And she had us write down our schedule. And I wrote down my schedule on a month at a glance type of a thing. And I filled up the side margins, and then I had to flip over and like write on the back. And then, and she was looking at my piece of paper, like, are you kidding me? Where's your day off? And when do you have lunch? And I'm like, I don't I don't. And she's like, okay. And I didn't know how to even group things together so that I could start to manage my time. And so she started me putting things into categories. So at least I had categories of things because I had so many different aspects of my business. And I still do today. I have lots of different things that I do, but I have groupings of things. And that way my mind can stay on the same track. I can get things done more efficiently. And I know what I'm doing each day. That was the first thing. And I think right after that session, I started making the changes that week. And I think I called you or texted the group and was like, I just had lunch. Like, you don't understand. Like, I sat down at a restaurant and had lunch. That was huge for me. And that became this catalyst that I was like, oh, if I can have lunch, well, then I can be off at 6 o'clock. If I can be off at 6 o'clock, I can take off Sunday afternoon. If I can be off Sunday afternoon, and it just started steamrolling from there. And then being able to make concise blocks of time to help me throughout my day, then I could start working on the finances. And then that was the next big segment is, okay, how much do I need to make in each block? And then the group helped with that, like having an accountability group where you say you're going to raise your prices. And so many people will say that, and a year later they haven't. So, you guys kind of held my finger to the fire a little bit so that I could actually do it. And I sweated bullets, and I had wanted to throw up. And you just said, Heidi, if half of your business quits and you've raised your prices to a certain point, you don't need to work as much, you'll have time off. And that was a light bulb moment too. And of course, no one did. No one quit. I actually got cheers of well, it's about time you raise your prices. So those were the first two catalysts. And from there, then you started tapping into our creativity and who are you and what is it that you do and what is it that is your kind of unique genius? What is it that you do and what is it that you want to do? Who are the people that you want to teach? And until I could get those first two things off the books where I could pay my bills and have time, I think I couldn't tap into the creativity yet. But then once that creativity gene kicked in, and I think a lot of us, the type of people that this program draws is that we are creative people. We are heart-centered, we can tap into that. And I wasn't. And once that gene kicked in, wow, that just boom. I started having so much fun with the different things that I could do with my businesses and putting together groups and putting together non-writing aspects of of my, things that I could do, it just snowballed from there. And now it's just fun. If I need to do something, I have the time and the energy to be creative and fun and really figure out how much I need to charge and what the community needs and what my clients need, and put it all together into a package that really is successful.
So cool. Yeah, so cool. Thank you for that. And yeah, it's interesting because we do trainings on, who you really are, what do you want to, what students you want to work with, leveraging, time management, pricing and packaging. And so much of it is going, what's the first piece, right? So all the trainings are there, but that's what can be so helpful with the group of going, okay, here's my situation. What's the first piece I need? And with Heidi, it was so clear that like she needed some time. And it's amazing, like lunch. I just need an hour. But I love it. Like, well, if I can do this, I can do that. Because then you start to like put a little wedge in where there's just a little bit of daylight or a little bit of rest or a little bit of time to think. Because, we're all smart people, but if we're exhausted and running on empty, we can't think. So be able to like rest and think. And then I love that. Then get creative, because then it's like, what else can I create? So that's so cool. That gives a good picture. Thank you. Yeah, Niki, what yay, she's smiling now. Like, what can you just what's the nutshell or picture of how things are now for you? And what were the important dials that you turned to get there?
Now, I'm very much like Heidi. I work. What do I work? I work 12 to 15 hours a week on my horse business. And I don't have to worry about my bills. I run my facility. And the major catalysts for me, like Heidi said, when you're at rock bottom, there really is no place to go but up. And when you're thinking, well, I have no idea how to do this, the best part for me of the Transform Your Business was that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Karen already did that and then laid out. And she not only laid it out, but I am a huge question asker.
No.
No. I've been told.
You're famous for your question asking. I love you for it.
Your head, they're teaching me, because if I don't understand something, there is no way on earth my body's going to do it. I am a brain to butt learner. That's just how it is. And so when I realized, as Karen gave us all of the printouts and the paperwork, that really started digging in and asking the questions, like, what do you do? Really? And then with those kinds of questions, I had a huge paradigm shifts in the ability to be able to take something that was so negative in my life and say, what a blessing that is, because now I know which parts of that I loved, which parts I would never want to do again. How to build it then came from the Transform Your Business and the group. And you have people who are also horse people. So they understand things like, well, I was going to do this, but then I had to run to the vet, or I have to go see if this mare is cycling, so I can't really do that. And I mean, it's just, normal people would think we were insane if they just heard our vocabulary over a day. But the ability to be able to shift into the things I wanted and let the things I didn't want go, just because I thought I had to make X amount of dollars, or I had to be like the trainer down the street, or I had to set it up in such a way that I couldn't see the big picture until I was in the mastermind group.
Yeah. It's amazing how we, follow the cartoon of what we think we're supposed to be. And so everybody's, making a copy of a copy of a copy. And yeah, and sometimes it takes something big to step back and go, wait a minute, what do I really want to be doing? So it's interesting. So for you, it was really that opening of the possibility and changing of the vision that then was the motivation or gave you the fuel. So one of the first trainings in the accountability group is this thing I call fuel for your business. And it's all about that. It's like, what, list everything you do, what drains you and what energizes you, and start to think of, all right, of the things that drain me, what can I let go of? So it sounds like that's kind of was really tapping into what your passion was.
Yes. And I have loved, and I would say probably one of my biggest strengths now because of that is whenever I have a problem, I always think, well, is it a problem or a blessing? How can I change it? What don't I like? How can I get rid of it? How do I modify it? Who can I hire to do it? Or whatever the answer is. And I didn't used to be able to see the forest for the trees. And so that kind of a paradigm shift was very big for me. And now it has become something that I ask myself all the time. And probably my favorite thing in helping others in the group, because I know what it's like to sit there and think, well, I can't do it like that. Well, there's just no way. Well, I can't, I'm just nobody. I can't, make X amount of money, or I can't take all those days off, or whatever the thing is. And so my favorite part is being able to push back like you did me and help others have that paradigm shift and be able to take off the blinders and see the whole forest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Niki, you've been so creative. Niki's like the queen of leverage in our community. She really, like, you took that concept of like, what could I do for more, deliver for more to more than one person at a time and maximize the value for everybody, right? And so, when Niki says, "Oh, I work 12 hours a week," there are a lot of people being served in your program.
That is one of the things that I found was so frustrating was, as you start to become successful, you want to help everybody. And then there's more coming and more coming. And then, the one lady who calls them, but please take my daughter. And then the something, and I mean, it just snowballs. And for me, there was a huge part of frustration where I felt like I couldn't help all the horses or all the people that I really wanted to. And I swear, part of my life is just out of the frustration comes the best ideas, or comes how to do it. And so that is how that all came about, is because I couldn't help all the horses that I wanted to. And so I needed to make a whole bunch of mini-me's that could do that for me.
So cool. Yeah. And to see how, you're being such a leader for the kids is amazing. So yeah, and that's what I mean. It's like, it's not just about horses, it's about, the human aspect, because she's got these amazing kids. I mean, amazing meaning when I went and visited, they're like riding bareback and backwards better than I've seen a lot of people ride facing forwards. It was fascinating. Anyway, so yeah, the horsemanship, the leadership, and there's it's a busy facility. Like, there's stuff going on. So yeah, I think it takes a minute to wrap your head around it. Like, I know there's people listening going, there's no way, there's no way. But it's, to be able to give more value and have time and be rested and have a life. So yeah, I know, Heidi, I think you had mentioned on one of the calls about you have like the deluxe spa package, or I don't know what you call it, but like she has a way of like still bringing in all of Heidi's different aspects of what she can give. But now, instead of just doing it and giving it away, it has a name. I don't know what the name was, but maybe just explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've just like many of us in the horse industry, it's like we do more classes, and we up level ourselves, and we learn new things. And I was just haphazardly, doing one thing or another thing, or laser therapy or hoof care, or you know uh, you know structural unwinding, or a lot of people do the Masterson, and different things. And I was giving all these little things away, but now I know how to put them into a package and deliver them to a person with the whole thing. And how about a lesson with biomechanics with you and your horse, and then we can do some structural unwinding and add some laser therapy and make sure his feet are balanced, and so it's a whole package. But until you have time to be able to think about putting all those things together, you just piecemeal stuff. And now everything that I do is just more concise.
Yeah. And I find the tendency that most people think about is that they try to give more and charge less all the time. Like, okay, I need students, I need clients, so I need to give more and charge less. And that is not sustainable. We'll put it that way. So Heidi and Niki, you guys have been running the accountability, well, we call it the action and support group now, for almost a year. So you've been doing the live calls, and I'd love to just hear, like, what are you hearing out there, right? So we know your stories, but on those calls where people can, talk about what their challenges are, like, what are the sorts of things you're hearing, or what's the most common pieces of advice that you're giving, just so people can kind of get an idea of who's on these calls?
I first have to say that the calls have been amazing, and the people that are in the groups are absolutely amazing. The things that they're doing in the horse industry are just fantastic. Like, I just get inspired every single time I'm on the call. Like, Niki and I, started wanting to do this to help others, but really we get off the calls and we're charged because they've inspired us too. So there is this it's an interchange of encouragement. It's this, back and forth, and there's not just Niki and I, but then other people can chime in throughout the group. And so we can bounce ideas, and no matter what people do, there's someone in the group that has done it, or has seen it, or has suggestions on what to do. So we're all there to support one another. But a lot of people, that I have found, it seems to be confidence. We're so confident when we get in the arena and we're with that horse, and we're so connected in that moment. But the confidence when we are not in the arena or on the horse seems to waver sometimes. And so that's been a thing. The other thing is the accountability. So, we're all floating out there in space on our own sometimes, it feels like. And so this is a room that we can all come in, and Niki has the best saying. It's like, it's all worse, like we're all sitting around the coffee table with, a mug of hot chocolate or coffee, and we're all able to, like, sort out the day's issues, and then say, okay, what are you going to come back with next week? Can you go out and get that done? And putting things on the calendar, putting things on the table that when they come back the following week, that, you can check in and say, oh, I had an issue with this, or I was able to get that done. And we all are cheering, and it provides motivation and a catalyst to do more.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, there's nothing like a date on the calendar. Even, and all you have to do is, like, all right, next month I've got another live call. Like, that can be a real catalyst. Like, well, I want to be able to, like, it's a deadline for yourself, because otherwise it can just be that blur. And I love the coffee table thing. Yeah, there's the wisdom in the group, right? So it's not just training and top down. It's really the wisdom of the group and the power of community. I know so many people have said they already feel better just knowing that they're not alone. So sometimes everybody's just sharing their problems, and they're like, you mean I'm not the only one with that problem? And then you don't feel like such a dum-dum. And now you feel, it's like, oh, this is a normal problem. There's nothing wrong with me. It's just a normal problem. And that alone can be really helpful in starting to boost confidence. Yeah, cool. Yeah, Niki, what's your feelings from the last year of doing these calls? Any themes you're seeing?
Yeah, like Heidi said, it just sometimes you need somebody to bounce ideas off of, or you need a room full of people who have all such different perspectives and backgrounds that they can really help you see whatever's going on with your business from a whole bunch of different perspectives. The lenses that everybody sees horses and each other and other horse businesses, and especially with social media, it's so easy to think badly about what you're doing or not thinking you're good enough or any of those things. And having a group that is safe for you to be whatever you need to be, and that just takes you from where you're at and helps you however they can, is just a wonderful sense of community that you just don't get anywhere else.
Oh, cool. Before I started this program, I had been thinking about something like this, and then there was a local veterinarian who was having these talks, and he'd bring different experts in, and he had brought in a business guy. And really it was like, look at what you're earning and what your expenses are and make sure, your income is bigger than your expenses. I was like, okay, that's basic. But Dana, my husband, had come with me, and there was probably like 10, 15 local professionals who were sitting there. And and we had just sat down, and I leaned over to Dana and I said, just watch. There's going to be complaining. The complaining will start soon. And so before the talk started, all these professionals around, and they were all talking to each other and complaining. They were complaining about their students. They're complaining about anybody and everybody and everything to do with the business. And it was so clear of like, there's something wrong with this. Like, this is what they're doing, and this is about horses, and they're just complaining about everything. And that I was like, we need to help people, and this is a shame. Like, how can everybody be so miserable doing supposedly the thing that they love the most? And when you hear the complaints, it's so clear they're just exhausted and they're not making enough money. And when you start being exhausted and not making enough money, the heart-centered people tend to quit, and the not heart-centered people just start to cheat and complain and take it out on horses and people. And anyway, so that was one of the moments like, I think I can help with this. So I'm just so thrilled with where this is going, and the Transform Your Business program has transformed in itself. And this year, two things happened. One was Heidi and Niki. You guys came to me and said, we want to help more. How can we help more? And at the same time, I was thinking, I had two ways of doing it. I used to do one event a year, and then it was just it was an amazing event, but then it was over. Or a mastermind, which was very in-depth, very transformative, but it was also a bigger investment and a lot scarier. And I thought, I really want to help more people. I want to make it more accessible so more people can get started on this. And that's how all those two things happened at the same time. And I went, all right, I think I have an idea. So thank you both for everything, for just being brave people and being amazing horse people, and for coming here and sharing your story. It needs to be talked about. So yeah. Any final thoughts?
Yes, we just want to thank you. I mean, like Niki said, just knowing you from the horse world and that heart-centered way that you teach, and that we had confidence in you that if you wanted to help us with something else, that we were willing to go on that journey with you. And I'm so glad that I did. I know Niki feels the same. And so thank you for doing this. And we want to be there to help others like you helped us.
Awesome.
Yes. It's wonderful to be able to have and maintain the friendships from the group, and from the original mastermind. I still have contact with those people, and it helps build lasting friendships that I reach out to those people a lot for help, for a word, what's the name of this? How does that work? What do you think about this? And aside from all of the time management and the how-to stuff that you get from the group, just the ability to create those bonds that are lasting a lifetime, and doing it in such a way that is such a positive, helpful experience, it just makes it so much better than you can even imagine.
Thank you, guys. The horse world is a better place for you two being in it. And I'm so glad you're having better. I don't know what to say. I'm glad Heidi doesn't manage a Starbucks now. And I'm glad Niki is able to have the influence that she's having on these young people especially. So anyway, thank you guys. Thank you so much.